proud sponsor to KNLY 91.1 FM.
We are broadcasting live from the Woodlands, Texas to the world. You're listening to the only multimedia FM station in Houston, Texas. Your Fusion Radio. Top 40s, dance, Latin, country, pop, rock and roll. All in one station. Mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY New Waverly, Texas. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
The program presented are submitted by members of our community and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM and its affiliates.
Hey guys, welcome to show number 2 of Dr. Superhuman with Dr. V and Jason Phelps. My buddy Jason Phelps is not with us again. One more week, sorry. He'll be here next week. Miss you, buddy. Can't wait to see you back. But today we have some really cool information. I have some heavy hitters, some really close friends. I feel really blessed to have been, again, given this platform, this opportunity by Cache. But my goal is going to be to push out a lot of information that's out there that most people don't know about health and wellness. And I'm just going to be bringing my friends on. So today, we have one of my, he's become my actually 2 people that have become kind of my spiritual leaders. Pastor Greg Johnson from Restoration Church, and then Dr. Chase Banks, and we'll be talking about some really cool info. As far as a new supplement that we'll be talking, we'll give you the information. And then one of my really cool buddies, and he's not gonna, he's very humble, so he's not gonna toot his own horn, so I will. We tend to call him Double Doc. He is Dr. Richard Harris. This guy is a PharmD, and that wasn't enough, so he's a doctor of pharmacy. Decided to go back to med school and get his MD, so he's got 2 doctors. He's a double doc, and then now he's getting his MBA at U of H. So he's I guess like me, a guy after my own heart with education. So perpetual student. But again, he's somebody that constantly seeks out better, and a different way to health and wellness and medicine other than what we've been taught. But real quick, before we jump to like all the cool info today, because we have a really cool show as far as basically the health and wellness from a scriptural perspective, which is why, like I said, I had Greg and Chase on it. And believe it or not, this was actually Dr. Richard Harris's idea, and he had already done a podcast on it. And again, that's why I really like Dr. Harris. We're very like-minded. But before we get into all that, I kind of want to shoot it over to Chase and introduce Chase. Dr. Chase Banks has a basically we share a lot of patients. He's a sports chiropractor and owns Finish First here in the Woodlands, and basically one of the most knowledgeable guys I know as far as sports medicine, orthopedics, injury, sports recovery, nutrition, you name it. Like I'm serious. But basically, we've been friends for a really long time. We go to church together, but we've really locked onto this new supplement that in today's basically environment, it's going to be real important in my belief, and I believe Chase's belief also, moving forward as a daily supplement. We might be able to add in. It'll be up to you to decide once you hear the data on it. But it's a really cool nutritional supplement that I'm not going to spill too much because he's a content expert on it. But it's basically it's a supplement called Virafend, and it's a viral attachment inhibitor. And we'll explain what that is. Basically, it's very important. All I'm going to say about this is it's very important for everybody and our viewers, our listeners to understand this supplement was not put out in response to the coronavirus. Okay, it was already out. It's been out, I believe, 6 years.
It's been under production for almost 7 years.
Yeah.
It was targeted primarily towards the herpes simplex viruses, the 9 different types that we have. And the formulator for this has got an extensive background in genetics and viral genetics specifically. He was a New York fellow up in New York State, and he had worked on some of this literature that, believe it or not, it actually has been out there since the 1960s. 1962 was the very first research article stating the efficacy of the antiviral effects of its raw ingredient, and the main raw ingredient is humic acid.
Yeah.
And again, what people got to realize is that viruses are not diseases, and in an environment, in an immune state that does become infected or compromised, can develop into a segue of diseases, and those diseases can vary in severity, as we're seeing right now, of course. Again, but all viruses themselves are just an organism.
Yeah.
They themselves do not, in themselves, have the capability of doing anything without a host. And so, hence why when we're seeing that, certain viruses have the ability to sustain its ability to, harbor itself and its ability to do what damage it does by staying outside of a host for certain periods of time, some very short, some very long. Temperature makes a big impact on that. But going back to the specific product itself, is that all viruses have a what we call a kind of a protein envelope. And as you see pictures of viruses, you'll see little spikes and things like that on them. That's the attachment, we'll call it appendage. And those attachment appendages are what goes throughout the body, throughout a host, and attaches to cells, and that's where it then does what it does best, is replication. So in itself cannot replicate unless there's an attachment. So, again, looking at literature and looking for something, as our society has been, most people don't do a very good job at working towards balancing their immune system, supporting their nervous system, doing some things to optimize, obviously, their biohacking skills, like somebody what you would do with hormone, balancing and things like that, and spiritual beliefs and figuring out how they are just within. So a lot of people get to this stress state. And that stress state may lead to a lot of suppression all the way down to the immune system. And depending on one person to the next, genetics plays a role, other factors play a role, but that will dictate how someone's infected state or viral load, let's say, for instance, when they come in contact with a virus.
Yeah, we said, like what we said last week, your health and your wellness right now, your state is going to determine how well you recover or not from this period.
And so if you can do certain things, and that's why obviously you can look at articles right now, specialists out there, professionals talking about how important vitamin C is, how much important vitamin D is, especially for viruses. You can look at all kinds of herbal supplements, and unfortunately right now people are knee-jerk buying. Hence why you look on any web page, or if you try to get any supplements out there, those main two, being vitamin C and vitamin D, are off the shelf, and things are on back order. And unfortunately, what people got to realize is that if you haven't really been focusing on your immune system for the last 6 months or longer, you really haven't beefed it up that much. Even if you do get sick or you do get an infection or something like that, it's really hard in the short term to make a difference. So that's what's led to, for some of us, looking for other ways and other products and literature out there that could possibly have some semblance of how can our body help boost the immune system, so that if we come in contact with a viral load, what can we do to diminish it? And again, with the active ingredient in Virofend, lysine, there's two active ingredients, lysine and obviously humic acid. And lysine is super critical in the metabolism for viruses because it's an antagonistic amino acid to L-arginine. And that's what viruses use as part of its metabolic process and its replication process. So that's used in it. And you'll find a lot of, believe it or not, cosmetics and hygiene products that have lysine in it because it's an antiviral. And so that's added to it. And with humic acid is an organic acid that comes, believe it or not, from an inert earth, the earth itself. And if you think about the earth itself, there's layers and layers and layers of particulate. And you go all the way down to fossil fuels, which you think coal and oil and things like that. If you go above those layers a little bit, just a bit, there's a strata called humates. And humates is where these organic acids come from. There's fulvic acid, there's humic acid, and they're very, very negatively charged molecules. Viruses are very positively charged on the outside of that protein coating. So what happens when you have a negative and a positive? They attach. Well, our cells, as a host cell, happen to be very negatively charged as well. Hence why all viruses have that ability to attach because of that process. So if you can think of like Velcro, and if I think of the hard, stiff loop portions of Velcro, and then this very soft, kind of like felt-like process on the other side of Velcro, and you put those together and they snap, loop together, and they're stuck. And they're hard to break apart. But if I take like lint, and I shove it inside that loop portion, and I pack it, what happens? The attachment process might still happen, but is not as efficient. And that's a very simplistic way to put it, so that you kind of can give people a mental image. This in itself, this product is not a cure for all viruses. Now, it's been tested against flu. It's been tested against H1N1, flu A and B, Epstein-Barr virus, all of the herpes simplex viruses, hepatitis B has got some really good data on it. And some of this literature, again, has been around since the late 60s. And
the problem, like we always talked about, and I had some other, is if it's so good, how come we haven't used it? And I get that question a lot. And it's mainly been sourcing.
yes,
It's mainly been sourcing, and
Quality,
you know,
quality.
in quality, and we feel like we've got that now, or we see that in this product. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it with not just myself and all our patients, but with like Dr. Harris, I mean everybody. I just think, like I said, it wasn't done in response to the coronavirus,
Right.
but I think moving forward, I think it's going to be super, super, super important just for our, like almost like as a daily supplement. I know personally I'll be taking it. You know, so our big question is, you know, where
Right.
so we're waiting on it,
And we're talking about this today because a lot of people, you know, call our offices all the time, especially right now, and they're looking for certain supplements. So you know, the source, having it available was a big importance to, you know, if we're going to talk about this product, was it going to be quality? Was it going to be an activated version of humic acid? Because there's a lot of inactive, very bound versions of it that don't do very good. You can buy the product and it's not very effective. It's not very bioavailable. So that was important. So again, this product was already out there. It wasn't in production because it had kind of been just targeted mostly towards the research of the herpes viruses, because that's where it had been tested mostly on. Again, all viruses replicate the same. So if we can do something to help the immune system and it is that we are calling this, and it's been completely clear to be called a viral attachment inhibitor.
Yeah.
So.
And that's basically what
So
it,
we're
what
looking-
it is. No attachment, no replication.
Right. No
Okay?
attachment, no replication.
And so we started right from the beginning. So that's a really good start. And so that's some great info as far as the Virofence. So stay tuned. We are hoping we don't have any hard dates yet. We're hoping to be able to have it and get it out to the public and to our patients starting next week. I believe. I'm hoping. But yeah, it'll be something that we carry on our shelves regularly, and we will. So just stay tuned on our Facebook and other things, and we'll push that info out to you. For now, we have to jump to our first commercial break with our sponsors, and we will get into the nitty gritty of this. Why I had Dr. Harris and why I had Greg come, and I'm looking forward to this this show. So y'all stay tuned, and we'll be back with you in a couple minutes.
We are broadcasting live from the Woodlands, Texas to the world. You're listening to the only multimedia FM station in Houston, Texas. Your fusion radio. Top 40s, dance, Latin, country, pop, rock and roll. All in one station. Mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY, New Waverly, Texas. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Turn on your glam today. The Jenna Klein collection is here, elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the KNLY Lip Gloss Collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit KNLY.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. KNLY.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene, mangia italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY
Cupcakes and Bubbles,
91.1 FM.
located at 26400 Kirkendall Road in Tomball, Texas. Cupcakes and Bubbles has the sweetest and most delicious cupcakes for the entire family. From chocolate raspberry, strawberry rhubars, cookies and cream, and the most popular among kids, the s'mores cupcake. Come and enjoy our cupcakes with a glass of your favorite bubbles. Visit www.cupcakesandbubbles.com for the complete list of our delicious cupcakes. Order online through our webpage. DoorDash and Uber Eats is available too. Enjoy life's sweetest moments with Cupcakes and Bubbles.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Do you feel that your energy costs are unnaturally high? Do you want to fortify your building and keep it strong and secure for years to come? Then NRG Spray Foam Installation is the answer you're looking for. Our unique foam installation is made to help our customers save in energy, prevent gas, air, and moisture infiltration, as well as helping with general stability in your building structure. Call us at 713-936-3021 or visit us online at nrgfoam.com for more information. NRG Spray Foam. Building green, living green.
This message was from a proud sponsor to KNLY 91.1 FM.
Woodlands Prime Lending, offering business loan programs for all types of endeavors. Need a startup loan, equipment financing, or even a business line of credit? Woodlands Prime Lending offers a variety of commercial loans to help you get funded when you need it. Call 713-900-7170 or visit us on our website at woodlandsprimelending.com to schedule an appointment today. Getting a loan is easy with Woodlands Prime Lending.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Welcome back, everybody, to Superhuman with Dr. V and Jason Phelps. I am going to just kind of basically hand this over to Dr. Richard Harris because, like, I literally invited him on the show because I like hearing him speak. I just want to hear him speak. I want y'all to hear him speak. I thought the whole concept, when as soon as he sent it to me, he said, let's talk about what God in the Bible says about health. And I said, cool, let's do that. And he sent me the outline, and I was like, we need to get Greg, and we need to get Chase. And so literally, I just want to introduce Dr. Richard Harris again. We'll give you all his info, at the end, how to reach him. But I just want to hear him tell y'all about his perspective on health and wellness, and I just want to sit back and listen.
Well, thanks for that, Willie. I'll tell a story. The first time that we spoke together at an event was really the first time I had started to transition from working at a traditional practice to more health and wellness event. And I had all this pent-up negativity inside me because every single day I go into work and I see people killing themselves. And I know what's going to happen 10, 15, 20 years down the line, where they're going to be, the pain, the suffering, and all of that was just starting to build up inside of me. And as I was speaking at this event, I cried. And people who know me know I'm not a crier. Like, my girlfriend's never seen me cry. We've been together for 2 years, right?
I remember that conference, and I was like, God, man.
Yeah.
And then I think one or two other people went up after you, and they cried too.
Right.
I think.
Right.
It was almost like a consecration conference.
Right. It was just a catharsis, and I just had to get that out there that I'm tired of treating sick people. And I knew that there was a better way, and I had learned in pharmacy school more about holistic medicine and physiology than I learned in medical school, and so I went on a deep dive of what's the better way. I started reading. I've got a database of like 400 clinical trials that I've read in the last 2 years, right, where most of my colleagues haven't read a single one since they finished residency. And that's when I put together this whole lifestyle thing. And at the same time as I was going through that journey, you know what they say, God works in mysterious ways. I was getting back into the church. And so as I was getting back into the church, I started to pivot towards more of this lifestyle medicine, this holistic medicine. And I started my podcast in October. And I was sitting in church about 3 weeks ago, and I just felt the Spirit hit me and say, this is what you need to talk about. And I said, okay, God, I'm not a pastor. I'm no theologian. I don't know the Bible that well. But I was like, okay, I'll just jump on it. And so I just sat down, put on some worship music, and just started looking at different Bible verses and how they correlate with health. And went into the studio and started recording. And the recording artist, after it was done, took his headphones off and was like, man. That's all he said. Just man. And so I haven't released it yet, but I know it's going to be impactful. I know it's going to change lives, and it's going to get people to see that even from the very beginning, God had a plan for our health.
Mm-hmm. I've said it, the last couple of days. I said, right now is a perfect time to do two things. Two things you can do to improve right now because of our situation. Improve your health and improve your Jesus. Like, seriously, this is like the perfect time. Improve your faith. There's no better time than right now. Because everybody's being tested.
You've got nothing but time right now.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, now what did you start? You sent me this really cool outline. I kind of wanted you to kind of go through it because we kind of have the same mindset.
Sure. So in general, there's been a lot of data actually on religion and health impacts. In general, what the data shows is that people who are religious or spiritual live longer, have better coping skills, less anxiety, less depression, better recovery, enhanced recovery from illness, and a sense of drive and purpose. They feel like their life has meaning and goals, and we know that's very important for health. And what I thought was really interesting was what the data shows is that people who are religious have a stronger internal locus of control, which is kind of opposite to what you would think. Locus of control means, do I think that I'm in control of my life, or do I think that life just happens and I don't have control? And so people who have an internal locus of control believe that they are the captain of their own ship, that their destiny is in their hands. But, as Christians, we believe that God is in control of everything. Right? And so the people who actually have that strongest I'm in control are the people that give control to God. Right? And so they just walk through the path that God has laid out for them.
It's kind of interesting that, in Galatians, Paul has this list of characteristics that he says, he calls them the fruit of the Spirit, the characteristics that the Spirit brings. And the last one in that list is self-control. So to your point, we have this idea that self-control being one of the fruit of the Spirit, the characteristic that the Spirit brings, it speaks to that, right? That it's actually not our control. It's really Spirit control. That we call it self-control because we feel more at peace. When we're more at peace, we feel more in control. But it's really the Spirit that brings that peace.
Wow.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and so next in the podcast, what I did was I just pulled some verses that related to different things in health aspects. I listened to the show last week, and one of the things that Willie talked about was fasting, right? And we know that fasting is mentioned.
Oh, trust me, I'm going to have you back. We're doing a whole show on fasting.
A whole show on fasting?
A whole show on fasting.
Yeah. It's funny. I always tell people, when I'm trying to get people to buy into health and wellness, I try to get them to think about it like a business transaction. Because really, at the end of the day, people are thinking, what's the value for me, right? What am I going to get out of this? So I get people to buy in through meditation and fasting. Because I'm like, this is a high-value, large benefit that costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Literally costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And you can start implementing those today into your wellness routine and pays large dividends. And so one of the verses, there's so many about fasting in the Bible, but one I mentioned in my podcast was Matthew 6, verse 16 through 18. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you.
So when full disclosure, whenever I read that, I was like, I need to have Greg on the show. so because he had a sermon a few months ago, not even a few months, a few weeks ago, and it was one of the best explanations. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
When he was and he was talking about being at where was it? Not Gringos. You were somewhere talking about like don't
Probably Gringos.
Please no.
We'll
Please,
just say Gringos.
Please, if you can, like a version, a short version of what you were talking about. It's like don't, and it's to your point. Greg was talking about like don't show everybody. Oh, I'm like. Look at me, I'm fasting.
First of all, I think the most striking words in that whole passage is when you fast.
Yeah.
Like it's an assumption that Jesus makes. Of course, it was cultural at the time, but for us, he says when you give, when you pray, when you fast. So those are three spiritual disciplines that are assumed that it's a part of our lives. And then he goes on to say, hey, wash your face. Don't look gaunt. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't pronounce from
that was the thing. It's like you want everybody to know I'm fasting, or put it on Facebook. I'm fasting.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Please pray for me because I'm fasting right now.
Yeah,
which is just saying, please let me draw attention to how spiritual.
What
I
did you
am.
say? He said you just got your reward.
He says it. You've received your reward in full. So do you want an earthly reward? Or do you want a heavenly reward? And so he says that in all three of those sections. Yeah. When you give, don't throw the change in the plate. So
people can hear you. Yeah.
Certainly don't make change. But you look at it and you think in those three areas. He says, hey, do you want an earthly reward or a heavenly reward? And that goes against everything that we believe in as Americans, right? We want full credit for everything that we do. As husbands, we want full credit for every little thing we do. And yet, Jesus is like, hey, suppress your want. Suppress your want for credit and do it in the secret place because that's where the power is. And of course, fasting today has become this fad.
It's a fad, but it's we need to return to it just for. We have skyrocketing obesity. I said it, almost every show. Skyrocketing obesity.
By the way, did we just become best friends?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I think
they put us like 3 inches.
Right.
This is not social distance.
Some collaboration will be happening.
But we are going to have a whole show on fasting because that's one of the first things that I actually put patients on. We even talked about it. Chase talked about it. You had one patient super sick, and that's one of the easiest things we can do is like number one, start them on a 8 to 10 hour, what we call TRE, or time restricted eating window, without having to worry about this diet or that diet or this name or that name. Number one, start eating less. And this is a perfect time to start eating less. I literally, all the food that people are buying off the shelf is all the food that I don't want them eating.
Right. I think, like you say, this is a perfect time. Is like, and Vanessa and I did a video the other night, and it was showing that how we can take that self-control fruit of the Spirit, as far as that spiritual gift, and use tangibles like self-discipline. Because right now, this is a perfect time for families to get in the kitchen and learn how to cook. There's apps, there's recipes all over the internet. Is to start taking, instead of bulk buying, bulk prepping, having things that are just massive amounts like the Costco mentality. I know it's important for us to have that availability, but is to be able to make a meal that is done because everybody had one serving. And then do the next thing the next night, and be able to sit down with your family right now and talk about things that we can, express about our spiritual aspects.
So convicted right now.
Hey, we're having baby steps with you.
That's right. That's right. Now I see why you had me on the program.
We're gonna pound you into submission. So real quick, we're up to one more our second commercial break. Real quick, what I want to say about that is y'all see one of our sponsors, Zanti, the Italian kitchen. Guys, go in there. Everybody's hurting right now, but go in there. They are doing takeout. They have great food. They're doing takeout. Go get a gift card. So help out your local businesses. They had just opened a few months ago when all this happened, and they're great people over there. So go in there, get some takeout from them, and also try and get some gift cards. And we'll see y'all in a couple of minutes.
We are broadcasting live from the Woodlands, Texas to the world. You're listening to the only multimedia FM station in Houston, Texas. Your Fusion Radio. Top 40s, dance, Latin, country, pop, rock and roll. All in one station. Mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY, New Waverly, Texas. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Cupcakes and Bubbles, located at 26400 Kirkendall Road in Tomball, Texas. Cupcakes and Bubbles has the sweetest and most delicious cupcakes for the entire family. From chocolate raspberry, strawberry rhubars, cookies and cream, and the most popular among kids, the s'mores cupcake. Come and enjoy our cupcakes with a glass of your favorite bubbles. Visit www.cupcakesandbubbles.com for the complete list of our delicious cupcakes. Order online through our webpage. DoorDash and Uber Eats is available too. Enjoy life's sweetest moments with Cupcakes and Bubbles.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene, mangia italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Turn on your glam today. The Jenna Klein collection is here, elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the Jenna Klein lip gloss collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit jennaklein.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. jennaklein.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Woodlands Prime Lending, offering business loan programs for all types of endeavors. Need a startup loan, equipment financing, or even a business line of credit? Woodlands Prime Lending offers a variety of commercial loans to help you get funded when you need it. Call 713-900-7170 or visit us on our website at woodlandsprimelending.com to schedule an appointment today. Getting a loan is easy with Woodlands Prime Lending.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. It's time to change. If you like country, we play it. If you like pop, we play it. If you like Latin music, we play it. If you like rock and roll, we play it. Because no one does fusion music like we do. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Welcome back, everybody, to Superhuman. We're going to pick up right where we left off and move on to the next section Dr. Harris had, and that's exercise. We just went over kind of diet, fasting, and one of the next tenets is exercise activity, and that's what I also go over with my patients. So, Dr. Harris.
Yeah. So what I tell people in general about my philosophies, I tell people nutrition is the king, right? It's the most important aspect of our wellness plans. The queen is exercise, right? And exercise is one of those keystone habits, and keystone habits are habits that you pick up that you start to develop other good habits, right? So you start exercising, you start feeling better, you're like, what else can I do to improve my life? Okay, I'm going to work on my sleep. Okay, now what's next? Okay, I'm going to work on being positive. Okay, now what's... And you keep adding and adding and adding and layering and layering and layering good behaviors. So what does the Bible say about exercise? 1 Timothy 4:8. For physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. So it says it right there, that from God himself, that exercise and physical training has value, adds value to our lives.
Yeah, and you mentioned a minute ago 1 Corinthians 9, where Paul talks about training, and he says run in such a way that you can win. And, you think about if you wanted to go out and run a marathon tomorrow, who would be prepared for that sitting
Right.
around here, right? I mean, the training starts way before today.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to run in such a way that we can win, you gotta be physically able to do that, right?
Right. Right.
So important.
We got a caller. Are you on the line, Cache? Can you hear me? Nope. Okay, we'll try to pick you up in just a second. But we'll keep going with that. Having a little technical difficulty, but so next one on the list looks like generosity.
Yeah, so actually I just did a podcast. I recorded it and released it yesterday with our good friend Teresa Romer about generosity and gratitude, and how her whole life is focused on helping other people. Like, that's her primary gig, and we're the same in that. And so every single day I wake up and I pray that I can just touch one life. That's all. That's it. I don't want to do anything more than that. If I can just touch one life that day. And what I started doing is also having gratitude in the morning too, a gratitude practice. But there's a bunch of different verses on generosity. I love Proverbs. Proverbs is probably my favorite book in the Bible.
You just sit there and read through it.
You can just sit there and you feel great when you do. But Proverbs 16:24, gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. All right, we can talk about this all the time. My pastor at Hope City talks about, Jeremy Foster talks about breathing life into people.
He's one of the funniest human beings on the planet.
He's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So, and you want people around you that encourage you, that lift you up, that literally breathe life into you, right? That tell you, you can do this, and I'm with you. We got this.
Yeah.
What do you need, right?
Well, I love that idea of, for you, help me touch one person. I think for a lot of us, we're so overzealous. And I mean, as Americans, we're always thinking so grandiose, when the simplicity of, God, who's the one person today? And I think if we were in the habit of, in unhurried time with Him, if we're sitting and being still, Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I'm God. If we would practice stillness first thing in the morning and just ask Him questions. Who are you bringing into my forefront today? Who are you putting in front of me that I can make a difference in their lives? And if it's just one person, that's a win. Think about as followers of Jesus all over the planet, that if they were seeking the one every day, what kind of difference would that make? And we get paralyzed because we're thinking about, what 10 people can I make a difference in their lives, instead of just going after the one. I mean, that's so doable, and yet we get paralyzed and feel like that we're not making a difference in the world because we're not focused on the one. That's such a great point.
And for all of y'all that are like, hey, what does all this have to do with health and wellness? And I thought I was listening to health. It has everything to do with health and wellness. Y'all will hear me time and time again on this show, and like I said, we're only on show 2. Talk about the whole mind, body, spirit connection. You have to have all three to be perfectly healthy and centered and well. And just like going back to Dr. Harris's first point, this is in the blue zones. This is in any for longevity studies. They show people that have a purpose, people that have a community, people that have faith, people that have that are active. People, they live longer. They just live longer. So yes, it has everything to do with health and wellness. And will we get into training and things like that? Absolutely. When Jason gets back, and we're going to have some other stuff. But again, this is super, super important to just overall health, wellness, well-being.
Well, the body's homeostatic mechanism, when you center all of those aspects, like you just said, and what we're talking about right now, they're just major stress coping mechanisms, is what they are. Whether they are about uncertainty, or they are about, obviously, if the body's going down, a degraded path with health and everything like that, is that the ability to focus on those other things and work towards it, and then to be spiritually centered, I think it makes all of it much, much easier.
Well, doesn't change begin in the mind?
Yeah,
I mean, when we look at it, until you change your mind, it really doesn't matter what you do.
Right.
It comes with a fundamental belief. And just thinking about it in Philippians 4, I was talking about this yesterday, that what we dwell on, it's who we are, right? It becomes, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
Like right now, in our culture, we're dwelling on fear, and we're listening to it, we're reading about it, we're watching it in news conferences, and there's just this anxiety right beneath the surface. And when we dwell on those things, what is the output of our life going to be? It's going to be fear driven. Versus if we're dwelling on the right things, it leads us down a path of doing the right things. And so it's so important.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the, I use the Philippians 4:8 in the podcast, right? Because I always tell people you have to have a positive outlook. And people are like, what does that do for my health?
You see how we just did that?
Yeah.
See how
I know.
Great teamwork. Come on.
Always social distancing. Yeah, social distancing. Yeah, power positive thinking, power of being an optimist. We know optimists live longer. There was a study that came out in JAMA last year, 2 years ago. JAMA is one of our top medical journals. And this showed that people who were optimists, who thought positively, had a 36% reduction in cardiovascular disease. That is greater than any medical therapy. Greater than any medical therapy, any drug, any other outcome. Positive thinking.
That's just crazy to think about. I mean, and think about as how many people that you know that you have to convince your face of what your heart believes, because people look just so negative. I mean, like I remind our people often, hey, for some of you need to remind your face of what your heart's feeling, because you look completely dead and depressed, and it's all starts right here. It's so important. So I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Your thoughts become your emotions, and your emotions become your actions.
Yes.
Right.
So what is this right here? Green space, sunlight. I mean,
Yes.
you and I are both big believers in sunlight.
Absolutely.
A couple of weeks ago, Jason and I kind of dove into it a little bit, and we talked about it, but he made this comment like, yeah, when we're done, we're going to have a bunch of hippies walking around, the woodlands,
Right.
walking with their shoes off and in the grass in the sunlight, and it says, but it's true. People underestimate the power of just sunlight. We're basically cave dwellers now. We basically get up in the dark, we go to work, we're inside all day, we come home, it's dark, so we never ever see even 10-15 minutes of sunlight. And
Big difference.
I mean, they used to call it heliotherapy in the ancient Greek time. I mean, they used to make the gladiators lay out in the sun because it increased nitric oxide. There's so many different physiological benefits, but kind of lead into your notes on green space, sunlight.
Yeah, so it's very important to get outside. There's multiple areas this affects. I read a study this year that showed that people who live next to green space, their kids have less ADD, less ADHD, right? So it affects mental development. Newest estimates are 42% of people are vitamin D deficient.
Yes.
63% of Hispanics, over 80% of African Americans, vitamin D deficient. We get that from sunlight. But even in the first book of the Bible, Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good.
Now it's gotten so bad that we're trying to. There's so many companies out there, and they're great. I mean, they're great, but they're trying to get things like Juve. JOOVV.com. Juve is a red light therapy, infrared, near far infrared light therapy. It's a recognized medical. It's a medical grade device. Like it's a recognized, and they've used it on NASA. NASA's used it on the space station. I mean, so it's a recognized therapy, but we're trying to do all these things artificially that we can
just go outside.
Just go outside.
Go outside.
Right.
Just
Right.
go outside.
It's the same thing with food. Is that I have a lot of people that come in and busy lifestyle, busy schedule, things like that, and they read, or somebody at the gym, friend, family member, maybe another physician, whatever, tells them to take this supplement. They're on 15, 20 different supplements, and it becomes a point where their nutrition outside of just the supplementation is so poor that they're basically supplanting the diet instead of supplementing it. And our bodies are naturally in tune with getting what its natural sources are. It's the same thing with sunlight. As all of us, practitioners up here, when we test our patients with vitamin D, I mean, if you were to sit there and poll every single one of them before you tested vitamin D and ask, what their overall just outlook was, how they feel, what's their fatigue status, what muscle aches and pains, you name it. And if they were on a scale of hey, I'm pretty optimistic, I feel pretty good, their probably vitamin D is going to be probably 55, 60 and above. But you probably ask anybody else that feels they're pretty run down, things are achy, maybe they're sick a lot.
Don't sleep well.
Don't sleep well, they're going to be lower than 30. And that's why vitamin D is super critical,
Yeah.
you know, in the
I
overall
always
balance of the body.
I always point out that vitamin D is not a vitamin.
No, it's a
Vitamin
hormone.
D is a steroid hormone.
Right.
You know, so if I when I tell people, hey, it's a vitamin, they kind of blow it off. It's a vitamin. You know, but if I bet I tell patients all the time, jokingly, I said, I bet if I called it steroid D, y'all would be, you know, eating. So I do. I said, just stick with steroid D. So, well, real quick, we're gonna go to our last commercial break, and we will see you back in just a couple of minutes.
We are broadcasting live from the Woodlands, Texas to the world. You're listening to the only multimedia FM station in Houston, Texas. Your fusion radio. Top 40s, dance, Latin, country, pop, rock and roll. All in one station. Mixing genres and generations. You're listening to KNLY, New Waverly, Texas. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Turn on your glam today. The KNLY collection is here, elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the KNLY lip gloss collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit KNLY.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. KNLY.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene, mangia italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY
Cupcakes and Bubbles,
91.1 FM.
located at 26400 Kirkendall Road in Tomball, Texas. Cupcakes and Bubbles has the sweetest and most delicious cupcakes for the entire family. From chocolate raspberry, strawberry rhubars, cookies and cream, and the most popular among kids, the s'mores cupcake. Come and enjoy our cupcakes with a glass of your favorite bubbles. Visit www.cupcakesandbubbles.com for the complete list of our delicious cupcakes. Order online through our webpage. DoorDash and Uber Eats is available too. Enjoy life's sweetest moments with Cupcakes and Bubbles.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Do you feel that your energy costs are unnaturally high? Do you want to fortify your building and keep it strong and secure for years to come? Then NRG Spray Foam Insulation is the answer you're looking for. Our unique foam insulation is made to help our customers save in energy, prevent gas, air, and moisture infiltration, as well as helping with general stability in your building structure. Call us at 713-936-3021 or visit us online at nrgfoam.com for more information. NRG Spray Foam. Building green, living green.
This message was from a proud sponsor to KNLY 91.1 FM.
It's time to change. If you like country, we play it. If you like pop, we play it. If you like Latin music, we play it. If you like rock and roll, we play it. Because no one does fusion music like we do. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
All right, welcome back, and we're running out of time, and we could sit here and talk for actually hours and hours and hours, but we're going to roll right into meditation, because it's one of the things, a lot of people see it as woo-woo and this, but it's been around forever, and it's not, meditation is not what people envision, so I'll let Dr. Harris kind of talk about that.
Yeah, most people are like, with meditation, the number one thing I hear is, I can't shut my brain off. And I'm like, that's not what meditation is. It's not just you sit there and be still like a leaf on the water, not moving, because that's what movies and media has made it seem like. But it's not that. The data shows that even when people meditate and think they're doing it wrong, they still get benefit. Right? And so we know meditation reduces stress, controls anxiety, promotes emotional health, enhances self-awareness, empathy, improves memory. You know, there's a study with people who had pre-dementia, and they had them meditate, and their scores on memory testing improved. Not only that, but they did fMRIs, which are MRIs that look at the brain in real time and what parts are active and whatnot. The frontal lobe, the part of our brain's executive decision making, basically all how we make our decisions and thoughts, it got bigger and more active from meditation, right? And so it's one of the key principles in the Bible. Psalms 49:3, my mouth will speak words of wisdom, the meditation of my heart will give you understanding. Now, another one, Psalm 77:10-12, then I thought, to this I will appeal, the years when the Most High stretched out his right hand, I will remember the deeds of the Lord. Yes, I will remember your miracles of long ago. I will consider all your works and meditate on all your mighty deeds.
Now, when I explain meditation to people, people don't know where to start, where to do, and so one of the easiest things, how long, it doesn't matter. Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the morning or at night. It could be your quiet time, like we were talking about on the break. Sometimes people need guided meditation, so some people do well with that. So there's two apps that I recommend to patients a lot, and that's Calm or Headspace, and you can literally just download them and do them on your and if you don't know how to start there. But we were talking about the quiet time, and how to do that, and just kind of actually sit there. That's meditation. There's not one right or wrong way to do it, but again, it has all those benefits that that Dr. Harris had.
Yeah, to me, it comes down to how bad do you want it? Like, if you want peace, how bad do you want it? The psalmist in Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, stand in the way of sinners, sit in the seat of mockers. But verse 2, he says, his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on that law he meditates day and night. And so we can't even get the day part right, but the psalmist is saying, hey, this is a minute by minute, hour by hour, day, night. I'm meditating all the time. So I'm constantly reminding myself of who he is and who I am. And he confirms it in me. The more that I'm willing to get quiet, he confirms in me who he is and who I am. And that's ultimately what brings peace.
I kind of tell patients that regarding, because patients come to me all the time and they say, I'm not losing weight, or I can't meditate, or I'm not doing this. And I said, have you been doing this? No. Have you been doing that? And I always tell them, you can't complain about the results you're not getting from the work you're not doing. Period.
It's the truth.
Period. So, they'll complain about not achieving their ideal goal weight, but they're not following any of the recommendations. Right. And it's the same thing with this.
And, so, kind of piggyback off of that, going back to just how the body just perceives stress, right? So, whether it's physical training, a new diet or lifestyle change that somebody makes, or they're just getting into their walk and they're just doing it to check the box. Is it like, if you have, I don't care how many calories a specific workout does, but if you absolutely go into it every day looking negatively to it, or you just say, I hate this, I don't want to do this again, I don't care how much of a deficit it's creating in your diet, it's going to be a stressful activity for your body, and it's going to force things from a hormone perspective to basically hold on to a lot of that weight and some of that inflammation and stuff like that. And it's different for everyone, but it's the same thing for people's spiritual life. Is that if you're not intentional and have a heart change about it, about truly what you want to get out of it and what you're wanting to kind of get out of your relationship with Father, is that you've got to be able to make that decision on within your spirit. Otherwise, you're not going to get much out of it.
Real quick, the data shows that prayer does the same thing. So they did a study with nuns and prayer beads, and they found that it had the same benefits as a meditation practice. So if you're really in a prayerful person and you have prayer as your quiet time, that also counts.
And it doesn't matter, and it doesn't have to be, like I tell patients, whatever your faith is too. I mean, it's just it doesn't. It's not specifically this or that, or like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Real quick, I want to finish up with food, because we want to make sure we tell everybody where to find everybody and give everybody, their info and website. But you have food on here listed as the last slide.
Absolutely. As we said earlier, nutrition is the king. It's the most important aspect of wellness. And I think I feel that a lot of this chronic disease epidemic, I'm reading Food Fix right now by Mark Hyman. 11 million people a year die because of poor nutrition. 11 million.
I like what he says. He says that we're overfed and malnourished.
Yep.
We're very, very, as a worldwide society, we're overfed and malnourished. So we're not getting the basic micronutrients, even though we're overweight.
Right.
And it's crazy to think, but it's actually true. And we're seeing this in our clinic every day.
All nutrient dense or nutrient poor, calorie dense foods, and these are man-made. A part of the problem is we thought we could do something better than God. And Genesis 1:29 says it clearly. Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. God clearly provided everything that we need from the ground, from animals, whole nutritious foods. And we have gone and just morphed that into these chemical processed garbage, and it's killing millions and millions of people.
So I have a quick sheet that I give patients, and it has the quick tips. My number one rule: don't eat anything that has a commercial. Literally, it's don't eat anything that has a commercial. It's not in your best interest. Things that they can remember. Number two is no sodas. Because here's the deal: everybody can put a name to a specific diet, but there's no room in a healthy, in whatever name you want to give it, keto, paleo, vegan, for chips, for sodas and diet sodas. So there's certain non-negotiables that it doesn't matter what diet you call it, they just shouldn't be eaten.
Right.
And so, like I said, that food itself is going to be a whole other show, because we could do a whole show on sugar and a whole show on this, and so we're going to start wrapping things up. Man, this has been an awesome show. Like I said, we could have gone on and on and on, but real quick, I want to tell everybody where to find Dr. Chase Banks, and they'll put his info up. It's finish1.net. You want to tell everybody where to find him?
Yeah, so if you just go to finish1.net, that'll be kind of direct you to our website, of course. You can find us on social media, whether it be Facebook. We have our YouTube channel. We do most of our rehab and exercises, corrective work, some informational videos, things like that. But most of our informational stuff will be on Instagram and Facebook, things like that.
And then if y'all are down in the Houston area, I urge y'all, seriously, we even have some of the same cool toys like Pulse in our office. Go see, if y'all have heard him, go see Dr. Harris. And that's just a snippet. He and I can, sit there at conferences and just talk for hours and hours on new technologies and health and wellness. But go see him, and you want to tell everybody where to find him?
Yeah. You can find my podcast. It's called Strive for Great Health Podcast. It's on all major podcast platforms. My Instagram and Twitter at drharrismd, and my website is theghwellness.com. And really, like I said, I'm just trying to touch one person every day, make the world a better place.
And then if y'all, when everything slows down, I'd really invite anybody who's always welcome to come, listen to Greg, or you can even actually listen to the sermons on
tonight at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, tonight, or even pick them up on the app. But everybody's welcome to come visit us at
Restoration Church Wood Forest. You can download our app, and the app will lead you wherever you want to go. But our website is restorationchurchwf.org. WF for Wood Forest.
Cool. Well, I appreciate everybody for coming out. This is an awesome show.
So cool.
Appreciate it.
I really, really want to have everybody back, depending on what subjects we want to talk about or dig into. But
I'm really free right now.
Well, you're always welcome to come back, because you're one of the guys that's actually prompted this. I think we had and we'll talk about that. But
so cool.
So anyway, thank y'all for listening to the show, and make sure that y'all can see it on YouTube or on Spotify and many other different social platforms. See y'all next week on Superhuman with Dr. V and Jason Phelps.
We are broadcasting